Welcome back to the FTTM podcast, your guide to getting the right product to the market at the right time. This week, we're going to focus on FTTM planning, how to execute to achieve right time.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, and just to set the stage immediately for everyone listening, FTTM stands for Fast Time to Market.
Right.
And, welcome to the deep dive, because today our mission is to explore these groundbreaking structural models for product teams, and we're basing this entirely on lateralworks research and lateralworks best practices.
Which is such a massive paradigm shift.
Oh, it really is. I mean, for anyone who has ever felt completely bogged down in corporate bureaucracy or, maybe watched a huge product launch just stall out because of endless approvals.
Yeah, death by 1,000 approvals.
Exactly. This deep dive reveals exactly how high-speed technology organizations completely restructure themselves. How they strip away the red tape to dramatically accelerate product delivery.
And that acceleration is everything right now.
Right. So here is our roadmap for the discussion. We're going to explore the transition from a really slow kind of research culture to a fast product culture.
Crucial step.
Then we'll unpack the revolutionary go-to-market Triad model. We're going to decode the freedom scale of organizational empowerment, which is fascinating, and finally learn the exact planning mechanics that drive actual execution.
It's a packed agenda.
It is. But before we get to the solution, before we understand how to fix it, we have to understand why traditional corporate structures fail so spectacularly at fast execution.
Yeah, we have to diagnose the disease first.
Exactly. And the core problem, according to the lateralworks research, is this thing called the ownership gap.
Right.
And these functional silos.
Right. The functional silos, it's the standard way almost every legacy tech company is organized today.
So to visualize this for you listening, I want to use an analogy. Think of a traditional functional organizational model like a relay race.
Okay, a relay race.
Yeah, but imagine a relay race where every single runner is absolutely obsessed with running perfectly in their own specific lane.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. Like they have perfect form, perfect breathing.
Yeah.
But literally, no one is assigned to hold the baton.
No one is watching the baton.
Exactly. No one is watching the baton.
That is honestly the perfect way to describe a research-oriented functional culture. Because what the lateralworks research found is that in these legacy companies, people are organized completely by their discipline.
Like departments.
Right, big departments. You have a giant silo for process engineering. You have another one for design, another for qualification.
Right. Supply chain.
Supply chain, exactly. And this model actually works really well for planning or for pure research.
Because you're just deep diving into one specific thing.
Yeah, if you want 50 PhDs to just sit around and theorize about new materials with no deadline, silos are great.
But for
execution, it completely fails. It is a disaster.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to execute and actually build a product, trade-offs start piling up.
Right, because things get messy.
Very messy. Decisions are delayed because they have to get routed up one vertical silo, cross over at the VP level, and go down another silo. And that creates what the lateralworks best practices call the ownership gap.
The ownership gap.
Yeah, because there is no single person who owns a product end to end, from its conception all the way to delivering it to the customer.
Wow. Nobody actually owns the product.
Nobody. The symptom you see, and it's so common, is that engineers identify with their technology or their functional silo rather than the customer outcome.
So they don't say, I'm building the new smartphone.
No, they say, I'm a thermal dynamics engineer.
Right.
Or I am a memory circuit designer. Their identity is their function, not the product they're helping to create.
Well, let me push back on this a little bit just to play devil's advocate. If everyone in that company is highly specialized, right, they're brilliant people, and they're doing their specific functional job perfectly, shouldn't the product just naturally come together at the end?
That's the logical assumption.
Yeah, like an assembly line.
Right. But product development, especially in high tech, is not linear. It's not an assembly line. It is this massive, complex web of dependencies.
So perfection in one lane doesn't equal a perfect product.
Exactly. Without a central integrator, conflicting priorities between departments cause silent schedule slips.
Silent slips, meaning nobody knows it's happening.
Right. Because the process team thinks they're doing great, the design team thinks they're doing great, but their work is completely incompatible, and it causes these massive late-stage integration disasters.
So they finally bring the pieces together at the end of the year, and nothing fits.
And then you miss your market window. So the silos are fatal to fast time to market.
Okay, so that brings us to section 2, the antidote,
Yes, the cure for the ownership gap.
which lateralworks best practices introduce as the go-to-market triad model.
Right, the triad.
It's a radically flat, completely product-accountable structure. It's designed specifically to force speed and force lateral information flow.
It forces people to look at the baton.
Exactly.
Oh.
So unpack the anatomy of this triad for us. What is it?
So the go-to-market triad is essentially a 3-person product ownership team, and they are completely focused on one specific product family.
So they aren't bouncing between 10 different projects.
No, zero context switching. And the design principles here are critical. First, it is flat, not hierarchical.
Meaning no one is the boss.
Exactly. There are no internal reporting lines within the triad. All 3 roles are peers, and their new identity is the product, not their function.
Okay, so let's break down the 3 roles. Who is the first person in the triad?
Role 1 is the end-to-end productization owner, or the E2E owner.
The E2E owner, okay.
You can think of them as the product boss or the system architect.
But wait, you just said they aren't the boss.
Right, they aren't the HR boss. They don't write the performance reviews for the other 2, but they are the boss of the product division.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
They maintain the integrated view across all the dependencies. They act as the internal voice of the customer.
So they represent the person actually buying the thing.
Exactly. And because of that, they make the ultimate start, stop, or continue decisions for the product.
Okay, so that's the E2E owner, the visionary, who's role number 2.
Role 2 is the process owner.
Process owner.
Yeah. This is your deep technical expert in manufacturing and process integration.
So they're the ones on the factory floor.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
They own the baseline. And they own what the lateralworks research calls aggressive yield learning cycles.
Okay, aggressive yield learning cycles. Break that down for me.
It means they must provide daily data on how the manufacturing is going. They never, ever wait for quarterly reviews.
Daily data. Wow.
Yeah, if a machine is spitting out bad parts at noon, they are analyzing it at 1 o'clock and tweaking the process by 3.
No hiding until the end of the month.
Exactly. Constant, brutal reality checks.
Okay, so we have the E2E owner with the vision, the process owner with the physical reality. Who is the third role?
Role 3 is the design owner.
The designer.
Right. Their job is to translate the customer performance specs, which the E2E owner gives them, into actual physical designs.
Sounds standard so far.
But here is the magic of the triad. The design owner works in continuous, real-time partnership with the process owner.
Real time?
Yes, they work together to define design margins. And the rule is, if the process owner sees a shift in the manufacturing process, the design owner must immediately assess the impact of that shift within 48 hours.
48 hours. That is incredibly fast.
It has to be. If the factory suddenly can't handle a certain heat tolerance, the designer can't wait a month to redraw the plan. They have 48 hours to figure out how it impacts the design.
I love this. It's like a 3-legged stool. But I have a question about this dynamic.
Sure, go for it.
If they are all peers, no HR boss in the room, what stops them from just arguing endlessly?
That is the #1 question executives ask when they see this model.
Right, because who breaks the tie when the process owner and the design owner want completely different things?
Well, it's a brilliant system of checks and balances. The E2E owner keeps the customer in view. The process owner grounds everyone in physical realism. And the design owner holds the performance spec.
Okay, but when they clash...
When they clash, they do not escalate to their functional managers.
Oh, they don't run back to the VP of design.
Never. That would ruin the speed.
Yeah.
The E2E owner resolves intra-triad conflicts by using the customer milestone as the ultimate judge.
The customer is the tiebreaker.
Exactly. The E2E owner basically says, look, if we go with the design owner's idea, we miss the customer deadline by 2 months. The customer cares more about time than this one feature, so we are going with the process owner's reality.
That is fascinating. The milestone is the judge. Okay, so we have these 3 leaders. But a triad is just 3 people. They need an engine to actually drive the timeline forward day by day for the hundreds of engineers under them.
Right. 3 people can't do all the actual work.
Which brings us to section 3, the execution engine. And this introduces a 4th essential player.
Yes, the technical program manager, or TPM.
Now, clarify this for the listener, because when I hear program manager, I think of someone taking meeting minutes and coloring in Excel cells.
Right. The classic administrative product manager. The lateralworks best practices are very explicit here. The TPM is a technical role, crucially technical.
So they aren't just an admin.
Absolutely not. They own the how and when, while the triad owns the what and why.
Okay, so how do they actually drive this execution? What are the mechanics?
The TPM uses core lateral works FTTM practices. The first one is a concept called schedule as driver.
Schedule as driver, meaning the schedule is the boss.
Exactly. In a slow company, a schedule is just a reporting tool for senior management. You look at it once a month to see how late you are. But under FTTM, the schedule dictates the daily work. It drives every action.
Okay, and how do they manage a schedule that big? A multi-year tech project is massive.
That leads to the second practice, macro-micro planning.
Macro-micro, so big picture and small picture.
Yes. The TPM maintains a live macro schedule, which has the big customer milestones, alongside highly detailed micro schedules.
And what counts as a micro schedule?
A micro schedule is for near-term tasks that are strictly under 10 days in duration.
Under 10 days, so very tactical.
Highly tactical. You can't manage a 2-year project by staring at a date 2 years away. You manage it by staring at a task due next Tuesday.
That makes a ton of sense. It keeps the urgency high.
Which ties perfectly into the third practice, know the gap.
Know the gap. What gap are we talking about here?
The TPM explicitly calculates the gap between the target customer date and the real schedule that the team is currently on track to hit.
Oh, wow. So they calculate exactly how far behind they are.
Yes. And they make this gap the central conversation at every single meeting.
They don't hide it.
They broadcast it. It generates what the research calls before-the-fact urgency.
Before-the-fact urgency. So you panic in March instead of panicking in November.
Exactly. You want the panic early when you still have time to fix it.
Now, the next practice is one that really stood out to me. It's called assume acceleration.
Yes, assume acceleration.
And this is wildly different from typical corporate culture, right? Because normally people pad their estimates.
Oh, everyone pads their estimates.
Yeah, if a job takes 5 days, they tell their boss it takes 10 just to avoid looking bad. So how does assume acceleration work?
It means the TPM expects the critical path to get shorter. They bank time when the team gets ahead, and they recover instantly when they fall behind.
But how do you get engineers to agree to that without demoralizing them?
That's the secret sauce. The schedule must be built by the team for the team.
So it's not top down.
No. If a VP hands down an arbitrary deadline, people will sandbag their estimates out of fear. But if the team builds the schedule bottom up, they take psychological ownership of it.
So they actually want to beat their own estimates.
Exactly. It replaces the fear of top-down deadlines with an internal drive to compress the timeline.
That is brilliant. And the last TPM practice?
Eliminate interrupts. The TPM is systematically hunting down bottlenecks before they stall the team.
Like late data or approval delays?
Right. The TPM acts like a snowplow, just clearing the road ahead of the triad so that engineers can just run.
I love that snowplow analogy. Okay, so we've got the triad and we've got the TPM snowplow, but this works great for one product. What happens when you scale this up?
Right, because most enterprises have dozens of product lines.
Exactly. This brings us to section 4, scaling up and the product delivery team ecosystem, or the PDT.
Yes, the PDT model is how you scale the triad concept across a massive enterprise with shared resources.
So how is a PDT different from just a triad?
It's an expansion. The core team is led by a product delivery leader. That's basically your E2E owner. It's driven by a PDT program manager, your TPM, but then it's staffed by embedded leads.
Embedded leads. So these are experts from different functions who are embedded directly into the product team.
Exactly. They live and breathe the product context every day.
But if you have 20 PDTs running around, how do you manage the chaos? What if they all need the same testing lab on the same day?
That's why you introduce the program director.
The program director. Okay, where do they sit?
They sit above multiple PDTs, and their main job is to maintain the single source of truth, the integrated master schedule.
So they are looking at all 20 PDTs at once.
Right. They surface cross-product resource contentions, like those shared fabrication facilities or testing hardware you mentioned.
So they practice that before-the-fact urgency at a macro level.
Exactly. But here is the absolute golden rule for the program director. They coordinate, they do not command.
They coordinate, they don't command, meaning they can't tell the PDT what to do with their product.
Exactly. They don't make technical decisions for the PDT. They just manage the traffic between them.
Okay, hold on. This brings up the elephant in the room.
The functional managers.
Yes. Because if I'm a functional manager, say the VP of design or the head of quality, and my people are now embedded leads taking direction from a product delivery leader, I'm basically losing control over what my people do every day.
You are. It is a massive cultural shift.
How on earth do you get them to agree to this without a mutiny?
It is the biggest point of friction in adopting lateral works best practices. But you have to face the truth. Functional hierarchy overriding product schedules is the #1 cause of fragmentation.
It's the #1 cause of delays.
Yes. So the PDT model demands a new rule. When there is a conflict between what is good for the function and what is good for the product, the product wins.
The product wins. That has to hurt a VP's ego.
It does. Under this model, the functional managers lose their power to direct daily work. Their job shifts entirely to provisioning talent, setting enterprise standards, and technical governance.
So they train the people, but they don't micromanage their daily tasks.
Exactly. Now, to prevent a total mutiny, functional managers do retain what is called a 20% veto.
A 20% veto. How does that work?
It means they can step in and veto a decision only if it violates a core enterprise standard, like safety or critical quality baselines.
Okay, so they are the guardrails.
Yes. But for the other 80% of daily work, they must operate via dotted lines. They advise, but they don't dictate.
That is a huge structural change. But it all relies on trust, which leads perfectly into Section 5, institutionalizing trust.
Yes, the freedom scale.
Because all of this structure collapses if people still feel like they have to ask for permission to do their jobs.
Exactly. To achieve fast time to market, you have to actually quantify empowerment.
And lateralworks uses this diagnostic tool called the freedom scale. Can you unpack the levels for us?
Absolutely. There are 5 levels on the freedom scale, measuring how empowered a person really is. Let's start at the top. Level 1.
Okay, level 1.
Level 1 is ACT, routine recording only.
ACT, routine reporting only. So you just do it.
Yes. You see a problem, you make a decision, you take action, and you only mention it to your boss during your normal weekly report. This is maximum speed. It's after the fact control.
I love that. Okay, what's level 2?
Level 2 is act, but advise at once.
So you still take action immediately.
Right, but because it might have a cross-functional impact, you shoot off an email right away to let people know what you did.
Got it. Level 3.
Level 3 is where things start slowing down. It's recommend, then act.
Recommend, then act. So, hey, boss, I intend to do this unless you tell me no.
Exactly. It's before the fact control, you have to wait for the thumbs up.
Which introduced delays.
Huge delays. Then there's level 4, ask what to do. You bring the problem to your boss and say, how should I fix this?
And level 5.
The absolute bottom, wait until told. You do nothing until someone gives you an explicit order.
This is such a great framework. Because level 1 is like an experienced chef in a kitchen, right?
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, they just see a steak is done, they pull it off the grill, they serve it. They don't ask the head chef for permission to flip a burger.
Exactly.
But level 5 is like a brand new line cook waiting to be told exactly when to move their hands. You cannot run a fast-paced restaurant with level 5 cooks.
You'd go out of business. And the golden rule of the Triad and PDT models is this. The target state is level 1 for almost all product, process, and design decisions.
Level 1 for almost everything.
Well, almost everything. Level 2 or 3 is reserved strictly for major things, like hiring or major capital expenditures, CapEx, or resolving massive cross-team resource wars.
But everything else is level 1. That requires so much trust. Why don't people just naturally operate at level 1, though?
That is the psychological trap identified in the lateralworks research. The phrase they use is, people disempower themselves by asking.
They disempower themselves? How?
Well, imagine a brilliant engineer gets yelled at by VP once for making a decision. Next time, to protect themselves, they ask for permission. That's level 4 behavior.
Ah, and the boss thinks, oh, they need my help.
Exactly. So the boss starts dictating. And soon, that brilliant engineer is operating at level 5. They've learned to just wait until told.
Wow.
When experienced professionals operate at level 4 or 5, it signals a structural problem in the organization, not a personnel problem. Trust produces speed. Control produces slowness.
Trust produces speed. Control produces slowness. I want to highlight that for the listener because that is the core of FTTM.
It absolutely is.
Okay, so let's move to Section 6, diagnostics. How can a listener tell if their own company is genuinely executing this way or just using the buzzwords?
You have to look for specific signals. Let's start with the healthy signals.
Okay, what tells me the machine is actually working?
First, lateral information flow. Are process and design talking directly in real time? If yes, that's healthy. There should be no surprises at integration reviews.
Because they already figured it out laterally.
Exactly. Another healthy signal. Decisions are made inside the team without functional escalation.
Right. They don't run to the VPs.
Right. And for the TPM, the schedule is refreshed weekly, and the critical path is always visible to everyone.
Okay, what about the team identity?
Huge signal. Team members identify as product creators, not just functional specialists.
Okay, those are the green lights. What are the warning signals?
Functional managers demanding approvals for daily trade-offs. That's pure level 4 or 5 behavior.
The red tape is back.
Yep. Also, if schedule surprises are emerging late in review meetings rather than proactively from the TPM, that's a massive warning signal.
Means know the gap completely failed.
Exactly. Or if the E2E owner doesn't actually know the product status because information is trapped in vertical silos.
That's a disaster. Now, there's also a financial tracking element to this, right?
Yes. The best practices discuss an activity-based costing mechanism. It's basically a quasi-P&L tracking.
P&L meaning profit and loss.
Right. Hours and costs are tied directly to the product team, not just a general department budget. It ensures strict financial accountability for the triad.
Okay, so let me ask you the ultimate question here. What is the absolute biggest red flag a listener should look out for on Monday morning? Like, how do they know their team is trapped in the slow zone?
The absolute biggest red flag is hearing someone say the phrase, "Let me check with my manager."
Oof. Let me check with my manager.
If peer-level experts cannot make real-time trade-offs together in a room, the system is fundamentally broken. It means you don't have an empowered team, you just have a room full of messengers.
A room full of messengers. Wow. That is such a powerful image. You've got these brilliant people, but they can't actually do anything without making a phone call first.
And while they are making that phone call, the competitor is taking market share.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from the disease of functional silos to the cure of the go-to-market triad. We looked at the TPM execution engine, scaling with PDTs, and unlocking everything with the freedom scale.
It's a complete rewiring of how a company operates.
Do you have a final provocative thought you want to leave the listener with to mull over?
I do. We talk a lot about the bottlenecks in technology development. People think the bottleneck is processing power or equipment or even finding the right talent.
Right, the hard constraints.
But the ultimate bottleneck in technology development isn't any of those things. It is the speed of internal human trust.
The speed of internal human trust.
Yes. If you are building a product, ask yourself, is your organization chart designed to facilitate trust, or is it designed to facilitate control?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because you can only have one at maximum capacity. You have to choose.
Are you designed for trust or designed for control? Amazing. Thanks for listening. Make sure to tune in next week where we will dive deeper into key practices of FTTM teams.